Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Kenji and I'm a Japanese teacher. On this channel, I provide practical tools and information to help you navigate Japan smoothly. Now, while my mission is to share information about the culture and the language as a Japanese teacher, I want to be clear. I'm not a linguistic professor or an expert on Japanese culture. What I'm sharing today is my own personal analysis and perspective. So I hope you find this information helpful. Today's topic is body language in Japan. Whether you've achieved the JLPT, the Japanese Proficiency Test, or arrived through the JET program to Japan, or moved here for businesses, you will quickly realize that fluency isn't just about grammar points. It's about physicality too, right? In real-life interactions, you will encounter a unique silent language of gestures and social cues. These are the nuances that the language school and corporate orientation might not cover, right? But they are essentials for navigating daily life and professional settings in Japan. And you might be thinking, well, I've put in the work and I know the grammar points and I can speak the language and I can already get my point across. And you're right, and that is a great achievement. But today, what I want to do is to show you the other side of the coin, which is nonverbal communication. Famous anthropologist Ray Birdwhistell estimated that 65% to 70% of human communication is actually nonverbal. This means that the majority of our interactions happens through our eyes, our hands, and our posture, right? So before we even open our mouth, we are already communicating with each other. And in a country like Japan, where you have to have lots of knowledge, this percentage feels higher. So to communicate effectively, you have to move beyond just grammar points. So today, let's cover 3 essentials of nonverbal cues that you need to navigate Japan. By the end of this video, you will be able to recognize and use Japan's one of the most signature nonverbal signals. Okay? The first nonverbal is hissing. This is often referred to as sucking air through the teeth. So imagine that you're asking your manager or your colleague for a favor, maybe a last-minute day off before a busy period. And immediately after you finish your request, they squint their eyes, knit their eyebrows, and make a sharp, audible hissing sound as they draw breath through their teeth. And you'll see this at restaurants too when you are asking for a table without reservations. In Japan, this is not a good sign. It's a polite but clear way of showing discomfort and disagreement without having to use the word no. They're physically expressing that your request has created a rather difficult situation, right? But if you're watching this from Australia or America, you might usually make this sound when you see someone get physically hurt, like someone bumps into a bookshelf and hurt their toe, right? It's a reaction to ouch. In Japan though, the pain is social, so they aren't reacting to the physical injury, but they're reacting to the friction of your request. So to them, the situation feels painful. Because they want to be polite but can't really easily say yes, when you hear this, don't wait for the verbal no. You can stop and reassess. This is your cue to read the air and offer a compromise. Instead of pushing, you can ask, is that date a little bit difficult, or would next week work better if you're asking for a day off? and you hear hissing. So recognizing hiss allows you to pivot before the situation becomes really awkward. So that's hissing, very important. The second nonverbal cue is the rhythmic nod, which is essentially the silent version of aizuchi. You might have learned that aizuchi involves saying like hi, but in real life, sometimes movement is really important. So imagine you're at your Japanese office and your boss is trying to explain a new project to you, right? In the West, you might sit still and look at them in the eye to show that you're listening. You might not, if you agree. In Japan, this stillness can be a little bit misunderstood, and the habit of nodding is so ingrained in Japan that people in Japan, when they pick up a phone call and talk to people, they nod, right? And the most important thing here is to remember that nodding is a tool for facilitation and not validation. So by nodding in Japan, you aren't saying you're right or I agree with this plan, but you're simply acting as a conversational partner if you're nodding, keeping the rhythm alive and showing that the channel of communication is open. And it is about maintaining the flow of the interaction. So never assume a nod is a yes to your ideas. It is a simply yes to the fact that you are speaking. But also, this is difficult. Remember that it is contextual too. So sometimes they nod to validate or agree. So you'll have to ask questions and investigate what their intentions are. Okay? All right. The last nonverbal, mokurei, I vowing. Moku translates to I and rei translates to bowing. Together, it literally means I vowing. Okay, so imagine you walked into a crowded restaurant and a busy waitress or waiter in the back looks at you and gives you a little nod and smiles before rushing off. Or you're walking down the hallway at work and pass a colleague while you're both on the phone. And instead of stopping to talk, they maintain eye contact and tilt their head slightly as they pass. So mokurei is the art of acknowledgement, right? Without speech. It is incredibly useful in a casual setting or busy environments where talking or being verbal is challenging or maybe disruptive. It allows you to say, I see you, or hello, without really stopping your movements or interrupting the flow of a room. In the West, nod often involves tucking the chin downward. But with mokurei, you don't just drop your chin, but you tilt your entire head forward slightly while maintaining soft eye contact. So the mokurei is a very simple gesture, but very useful because you can acknowledge the other person without really speaking. So you can use that very effectively if you like. Well, that's it, and I covered 3 nonverbals in Japan today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and also I really want this channel to be a place where we can learn from each other, right? So I have a question for you if you're watching this. Are there specific gestures that are unique to your countries? And if there's any, please let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you have any questions about Japanese culture or Japanese communication, leave them in the comments as well. It will really help a lot shape my future videos, so I would really appreciate that. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you next time.